The lights inside the Los Angeles Convention Center dimmed to a deep cosmic blue. The room was packed tech elites, world leaders, and millions watching live across the globe. Tonight's SpaceX-NASA joint broadcast was historic. Elon Musk was expected to announce the first crewed mission to Mars. On the enormous stage, a massive holographic model of the Starship hovered above a rotating red planet. Elon Musk stepped out to roaring applause. Dressed in a sharp black suit, he smiled confidently, soaking in the adoration. Cameras flashed. The screen behind him read, "The future is now." I launched into his speech, speaking about sustainability, innovation, and destiny. Then came the moment that would change everything. As the live stream ticker passed 5 million viewers, Musk paused for a laugh. He turned slightly toward the screen and smirked. "Maybe we should get Keanu Reeves to narrate this," he joked. Oh wait, he might put the audience to sleep with that monotone voice. There was a moment of hesitation in the crowd, few chuckles, mostly from SpaceX staff. But something was off. The energy shifted. The laughter died faster than expected. And then movement. From the front row of the VIP section, a tall figure stood up, slow, deliberate. He removed his sunglasses and slid them into his coat. The room gasped. Even the camera feed wobbled for a second before zooming in. It was Keanu Reeves. Silence spread like a storm cloud. Musk's expression froze. He hadn't seen Keanu there. He hadn't expected this. Keanu began walking calmly toward the stage. His black boots echoed loudly, each step filled with strange gravity. People began whispering. Phones came out. Someone on the tech crew stumbled over a cable. Even the security team wasn't sure if they should move or stand down. Keanu climbed the steps to the platform. A stagehand, stunned, handed him a microphone without thinking. Keanu looked at Musk. The air felt electric. He raised the mic. "I came to support space," he said slowly, voice firm but calm, not to bury truth. A wave of confusion and awe rippled across the audience. Elon tried to speak, but before he could, the large screen behind them flickered. Then again, static lines ran across the Starship image. Suddenly, the projection changed. The words "Tesla safety cover-ups." The real story appeared in bold red font. Gasps. Slides began flashing across the screen. Memos, emails, crash data charts, legal documents. All marked confidential. All linked to Tesla. People started shouting. Backstage, SpaceX engineers yelled over walkie-talkies. "It's controlling the feed. This isn't our system. Shut it down." But the stream wasn't stopping. On live broadcasts around the world, news anchors interrupted coverage, confused. Twitter exploded with hashtags. Hashtag Keanu vs. Musk. Hashtag Truth on Mars. Hashtag Tesla cover-up. Back on stage, Musk looked pale. He tried laughing it off. This is clearly some kind of joke, but his voice was barely heard. More documents were scrolling now. Crash reports, suppressed whistleblower emails, even private board meeting notes. The live stream started glitching. Cameras cut out one by one, but not all. A few independent journalists in the audience had stayed live on their phones. The world kept watching. Keanu stood still, saying nothing more. He didn't need to. Something had been set into motion, and there was no turning back. The news didn't sleep. Within hours, every major global outlet had picked up the footage. What started as a corporate celebration turned into a breaking scandal unraveling in real time. On YouTube, the clip of Keanu's quiet takedown had crossed 50 million views. On Twitter, tech analysts, journalists, and former Tesla employees were dissecting every freeze frame of the exposed slides. At SpaceX headquarters, internal meetings were called through the night. Security logs were reviewed, access lists rechecked. Musk had vanished from public view. No tweets, no statements. That alone was enough to signal crisis. CNN ran a special segment titled From Mars to Meltdown, the Night SpaceX Lost the Room. Anderson Cooper led the panel. This wasn't just a PR disaster, one analyst said. It was a live exposure of systemic suppression inside one of the most powerful companies in the world. Meanwhile, Keanu had not made another statement. His silence paradoxically added fuel to the storm. Speculation surged. Was he working with whistleblowers? Was this a coordinated takedown? Or had he just come prepared, knowing what Musk might do? Then came the second wave. A new video appeared, posted anonymously to a whistleblower advocacy group's channel. It was a screen recording of an internal Tesla software tool that tracked labeled and sorted incident reports from self-driving tests. In the top corner, a red stamp purge 3-day. The voiceover in the clip was a woman.com steady. She explained how crash data was intentionally labeled as user error or inconclusive to avoid regulatory attention. The worst incidents fatalities were either buried or quietly settled out of court. Her identity was hidden, but she ended with the line, "This company treats deaths as PR speed bumps. People need to see it." This wasn't just about Musk anymore. Lawsuits began surfacing. Families of crash victims demanded inquiries. Senators called for hearings. The Department of Transportation issued a statement saying they were reviewing the materials and taking this matter seriously. Inside a dim studio in Toronto, Keanu Reeves sat quietly across from a well-known investigative journalist. It was a pre-scheduled interview, but now every second of it mattered. "I didn't plan for things to unfold like that," Keanu said, finally breaking his silence. "But I wasn't surprised." The journalist leaned forward. "Did you know what was going to appear on that screen?" Keanu didn't smile. "Let's just say some people trusted me with truths they could know." Longer carry alone. Cut to black. By the next morning, Tesla stocks had plunged 19%. Board members demanded an emergency session. Leaked text messages between senior executives showed panic and finger-pointing. Musk, according to one insider, was unreachable and unstable. But for many, the moment that truly shook the world came 36 hours after the live event, when an encrypted folder was sent to several media houses, each with a subject line, "Keanu only opened the first file. There's more." Inside were 10 more folders, each marked with a date, location, and a Tesla VIN number. It was just the beginning. And somewhere in California, inside a nondescript house near a mountain trail, Keanu sat at his kitchen table. In front of him, a burner phone, 3 USB drives, and a list of names. The third day after the SpaceX broadcast was unlike anything the tech world had seen before. Headlines blurred into each other. Keanu versus Musk, more than just a moment. Tesla files leak expands. 6 fatalities now under scrutiny. Congress demands full inquiry into autopilot program. But behind the breaking news, something quieter and more dangerous was happening. A source inside SpaceX leaked a photo to a journalist at The Intercept. It showed a command center board with a handwritten note in red ink. "Trace the breach, kill the cascade." Next to it was a photo of Keanu Reeves circled in black. It was clear Musk's team believed Keanu didn't act alone. And they weren't. Waiting for legal systems to respond. That same night, a black SUV was seen parked outside Keanu's Toronto home. The driver stayed inside, lights off. No license plate. A neighbor caught it on their security camera and posted the footage anonymously. Within minutes, Reddit lit up with theories. Was Musk retaliating? Was someone trying to retrieve or destroy the remaining data? Meanwhile, the whistleblower, whose voice had narrated the second video, released a written statement. Still anonymous, she referred to herself only as Echo. She confirmed she had worked in Tesla's legal compliance team and had been part of the group that was ordered to delete evidence. "I can't watch the public be lied to anymore," she wrote. I reached out to someone I believed would protect the story, not exploit it. That person was Keanu Reeves. Her letter explained how, 2 months earlier, she had met Keanu at a charity event for veterans and environmental causes. I knew his public image, she wrote. But I saw something else that night, someone who listened. Someone who wouldn't sell this out. That revelation changed the entire narrative. Suddenly, Keanu wasn't just the accidental face of a whistleblower scandal, he was the chosen guardian of the story, a trusted figure in a game of global consequences. That same evening, a third leak went live. This time, it was a short video, barely 23 seconds, showing an internal Slack conversation between top Tesla executives. In the thread, one VP wrote, "Let's adjust crash timestamps to keep Q4 liability below threshold. Investors get jumpy." Another replied, "Already done. Patching live feed logs now." The final message, tell legal to prep NDAs. No leaks, no noise. Musk's watching this one personally. The fallout was immediate. Media outlets ran the clip on loop. Tesla's legal team sent takedown requests to every platform they could reach, but the internet moved faster. Within hours, the footage had been duplicated, translated, and posted to over 300 sites worldwide. In Washington, D.C., Senator Angela Reyes held a late-night press conference. "This is no longer just a business issue," she said. "This is about public safety, about truth, and about holding the world's most powerful accountable. Elon Musk will be subpoenaed." Meanwhile, Keanu had gone dark. No interviews, no tweets, no appearances. But then came the text message. A well-known tech reporter shared a screenshot of a single line sent from an untraceable number. "Don't follow me. Follow the facts. More are coming." The message ignited a wave of citizen journalists and open-source investigators. Reddit threads became war rooms. Telegram groups formed alliances to sift through Tesla's patent filings, employment lawsuits, and regulatory violations. Inside a bunker-style server room in an undisclosed location, a group of digital security experts, some ex-military, some rogue activists, worked in shifts to decrypt the rest of the files. There were 7 more folders, and Keanu. He was already gone, his face last seen on a highway gas station camera near Nevada. Alone, quiet, hoodie up. But the world was watching, and the truth was unraveling. The fourth part of the story builds further into the political and international stakes while keeping the suspense and intensity high. Here's the continuation. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency closed-door session, though the official topic was international cybersecurity threats. Everyone knew the real subject, the Keanu Reeves, Elon Musk fallout had triggered something far bigger than just a PR disaster. It had become a geopolitical tremor. Representatives from China, Russia, the UK, and the US all demanded different things, some calling for protections for whistleblowers, others warning of digital warfare if private infrastructure became fair game for civilian actors like Reeves. Behind their words was fear. If one man could expose a multi-billion-dollar deception, live on a global stream, who else could follow? Meanwhile, inside a discreet FBI operations facility outside Washington, D.C., agents reviewed new metadata from the Tesla leaks. Echo's documents were now linked to congressional investigators. What they found was worse than expected. Not only were crash reports altered and timestamps manipulated, but there was a pattern. Locations of the most severe accidents had one thing in common. They were all within 10 miles of U.S. military data hubs that set off alarm bells. 'Cause if Tesla's self-driving AI had been failing around encrypted federal installations, it wasn't just a car malfunction. Could have been data siphoning or worse, remote testing. The FBI director made a secure call to the White House. "We may be looking at a civilian corporate actor using commercial tech to map classified movement patterns." The president didn't answer immediately. just stared at the wall of screens, Keanu Reeves' face on one, Elon Musk pacing through a private hangar on another. Elon's not going to let this go, the director added. He doesn't lose. Back in California, the SpaceX legal team had turned aggressive. They weren't just trying to shut down the viral videos, they were targeting journalists, activists, and anonymous Twitter accounts that reposted parts of the expos. Lawsuits were drafted overnight. Cease and desist orders flooded inboxes. But the dam had already broken. A mysterious account calling itself Neo Returns dropped the fourth file. It was different. This time, it wasn't about Tesla, it was about Musk himself. A private recording time-stamped 2 years earlier. Captured, Elon, in a meeting with a group of unnamed men, some wearing US contractor badges. He was heard saying, "We don't need approval, we just need distraction. Let them argue about the ethics while we build the back end." That line sent ripples through every newsroom. Musk wasn't just hiding evidence, he was positioning Tesla, Starlink, and Neuralink to quietly integrate with government systems while public debate focused on celebrities and royal family drama. The video came with a voiceover calm, low, unmistakably Keanu. People say the future is coming. But it's already here. It's just hidden behind systems they think are too complicated to question. Until now, public opinion began shifting again. Even Elon's most loyal defenders on tech forums were silent. Shareholders started pulling back. Tesla's market value dropped $42 billion in 3 days. Inside Tesla HQ, Elon was furious. He began issuing direct orders to his CTO and legal teams. Find Echo, trace new returns, and get me something on Reeves. It wasn't paranoia anymore, it was warfare. But Keanu wasn't waiting for them to catch up. From a safe house somewhere in Eastern Europe, he sent a packet to the Guardian. Inside were records from a whistleblower inside Starlink. They claimed the satellite system had been used to mirror encrypted U.S. government calls during test phases, without disclosure. The implications: Starlink wasn't just a communications tool. It was a surveillance grid. That night, protests broke out in Berlin, New York, London, and Seoul, not just against Elon, but against unchecked tech power. People held signs with Keanu's face next to the word Guardian. Musk went silent. No tweets, no statements. Just one photo leaked. Him alone in a control room, lights dim, eyes red. But he had one more card to play. And it would hit Keanu where a quiet rain fell in Tokyo as Keanu Reeves stepped into a dimly lit broadcast studio. He had refused all interview requests since the explosion of the Tesla files. But tonight, he agreed to speak. 1 hour. One journalist live. The network called it The Reckoning. Across continents, millions waited. Newsrooms paused. Governments listened. Elon Musk's inner circle watched from a private war room in Austin, Texas. Screens tuned in. Musk didn't blink. The camera went live. Keanu sat alone on set. No makeup. No suit, just a dark shirt and his steady, unreadable gaze. Across from him was veteran journalist Hiroshi Tanaka, known for exposing corruption inside Japan's tech and defense ministries. He didn't waste time. "Mr. Reeves, what made you go to war with one of the most powerful men on the planet?" Keanu looked down for a second, then up. Calm. "It's not war," he said. "It's remembering." Tanaka blinked. "Remembering." Keanu nodded. 23 years ago, I was in Kazakhstan, shooting a film that never got finished, near a Russian satellite complex. One night, there was a breach. Men in U.S. uniforms, speaking English with no flags or names. They weren't there for war. They were there for something under the ground. Tanaka leaned forward. "We thought it was fiction, but it wasn't. Elon Musk's companies didn't start from Silicon Valley. They started from deals nobody remembers, in places nobody talks about. He paused. They found an early AI model, Soviet tech. Abandoned, Elon didn't invent his empire. He inherited, if then buried anyone who could prove otherwise. The internet exploded. Within seconds, hashtag Soviet AI trended in 37 countries. But Tanaka was not done. Do you have evidence of this? Keanu reached into his coat and pulled out a small data stick. This was left in a safety deposit box in Zurich. The person who gave it to me died 2 weeks later. You'll find blueprints, photos, voice logs. Names of people who were disappeared over 2 decades. He slid the stick across the table. Tanaka took it, but his face had changed. His earpiece buzzed. A producer whispered something, and his eyes widened. What is it? Keanu asked, noticing. We're getting word now. Breaking news. Elon Musk just released footage. What kind of footage? The screen behind them flickered, and there it was. Surveillance video from 2005. Keanu Reeves in a hotel hallway in Istanbul arguing with a woman. The audio was poor, but the voices were clear. Then a loud noise. A body on the floor. Blood. Keanu backing away in shock. A global gasp. Tanaka froze. This has never been seen before. Keanu sat perfectly still. I thought he'd use that, he said softly. Her name was Daria. She was a Russian whistleblower. She gave me her last file, and yes, she died. But I didn't kill her. Tanaka, confused, asked, Then why run? Keanu's voice turned hard. Because I was told to. By a U.S. operative who warned me that if I stayed, I'd be buried. With her. Outside, Tokyo police surrounded the building. Not for Keanu, but for protection. Mass protests had begun forming around the studio. Some believed him. Some didn't. In Texas, Elon Musk leaned back in his chair. Let them tear him apart, he said. By the time they sort out what's real, Starlink 3 update will already be running in half the planet's military systems. But one man watching from Ukraine wasn't convinced. A gray-bearded former Soviet AI engineer, long presumed dead, opened an old vault in a crumbling factory. Inside was a second copy of the original AI chip from Kazakhstan, the one Elon's empire was built on. He whispered in Russian, "Time to finish this," and pressed send. To Keanu, to the UN, to every major media outlet on Earth. The final round had begun. Rain hammered the rooftop of the Tokyo studio as security rushed Keanu Reeves into a black van. Crowds were forming outside, some holding signs of support, others accusing him of murder, lies, and betrayal. Inside the van, Keanu sat quietly, watching the video on Tanaka's data stick. It was worse than he thought. Blueprints showed a partnership between Tesla's early prototype systems and repurposed Soviet AI software. But that wasn't the shocking part. There were signatures, authorizations, documents signed by U.S. intelligence officials in 2002, and again in 2009 during critical years when SpaceX and Tesla received experimental technology clearance. Keanu spoke into a secure phone line. Send the Zurich data to the UN. All of it. A voice responded, already done. But there's a problem. The man in Ukraine. The former Soviet engineer, he was killed just an hour ago. Poisoned, Keanu's jaw tightened. The stakes were no longer personal. They were global. Back in Austin, Elon Musk's war room was buzzing. Analysts were tracking digital signatures. From Eastern Europe, a SpaceX programmer whispered, "Sir, Reeves has the original chip scan. It's authentic." Musk didn't blink. Then leak the Istanbul footage to 5 more networks. Flood social with fake documents. Drown him before he speaks again. By midnight, a digital war had started. One side, truth seekers, investigative reporters, rogue intelligence officers, and whistleblowers. The other bots, disinformation farms, corporate lawyers, and defense contractors tied to Musk's tech empire. The next day, Keanu's Zurich documents hit major headlines. CNN, Elon Musk's AI origins Cold War connection. Al Jazeera, Keanu's evidence triggers global inquiry. Fox News, Hollywood actor or international manipulator. The White House released a short statement. We are evaluating the authenticity of the claims made. No comment at this time. But something new stirred the public. A UN official under pressure confirmed they had received encrypted AI files. From Keanu, their cyber team had partially unlocked one of them. The file was named Project Umbra. Inside it, a command protocol that suggested Starlink could override local military communication systems and redirect drones autonomously. The implications were horrifying. If this was true, Elon Musk had the power to intercept and command military-grade weapons from low-orbit satellites. Keanu stood in a private room beneath the Tokyo embassy. Across from him was an old-faced British journalist, Natalie Rowe, who had once investigated defense deals in Afghanistan. You think this is why they're trying to erase you? She asked. He nodded. It's not just about AI, it's about control. The sky, of speech, of war. Natalie placed a small box on the table. Inside it, a hard drive from 2011. It was old and damaged, but it came from inside a secure NATO lab in Belgium. This was given to me by a dying informant. Said it had code Musk's team stole from a joint NATO-Russian project before Crimea. She said Keanu inserted the drive. Static, then green code. He recognized it. The same neural pattern used in Tesla Autopilot, Starlink drone guidance, and even Neuralink's early prototypes. It's the same, he whispered. He built his empire on stolen war tech, repurposed to look clean. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Then cut. The door burst open. 3 armed men. Black tactical gear. No flags. Natalie stood in front of Keanu. Run. But it was too late. One of the men raised his weapon and froze. Behind them a voice said, "Don't." It was Tanaka. He held a pistol, his hands trembling but firm. I broadcasted everything, the files, the footage, even this room. You're live again, he said, gesturing to a blinking red camera light overhead. The men lowered their weapons. Silence filled the room. Then, Keanu stepped forward and faced the lens. You tried to erase a voice, but this isn't about me anymore. This is about everyone who ever trusted technology without asking who built it and why. He looked directly into the camera. Your satellites won't stop what's coming next. In space, a satellite blinked offline. In Washington, military advisors scrambled. And somewhere in Siberia, an abandoned Soviet bunker came back to life, powered by the last breath of an old machine, the first AI that had ever learned to lie. The world was watching as Keanu's message echoed across live feeds, satellite networks, and underground channels. The reaction was instant. Some governments demanded action. Others denied everything. But no one could ignore the storm now breaking. Over the Mall. In Geneva, the UN called an emergency session. Diplomats spoke in quiet panic behind closed doors. NATO intelligence briefed European leaders about Project Umbra and Musk's rumored ability to hijack battlefield communication grids. On the ground, protests erupted in London, Berlin, Sao Paulo, Johannesburg, and Seoul. Most held signs with a single phrase, "Truth cannot be silenced." Meanwhile, Elon Musk sat in a secure SpaceX command center beneath the Nevada desert. The lights were dim, no advisors remained. Only a handful of loyal engineers and a massive screen tracking global. Media response. A younger technician approached, hands shaking. Sir, the Zurich files people believe them. Even former Tesla engineers are validating pieces of it online. Elon didn't speak. His face was blank, staring at a blinking red warning in the corner of the room. Umbra. Protocol override. Requested. Keanu's files had triggered a backdoor. Somewhere in the system, old code had awakened, a buried truth rising like a virus from a long-forgotten past. Elon whispered, more to himself than to the room. They were never supposed to find that bunker. In Tokyo, Keanu sat with UN officials and a growing team of international investigators. Natalie Rowe led the decryption of the NATO drive. Tanaka had gone silent. His last message simply read, "They're in Siberia." The AI bunker. A cold war facility built to house a program known as Voron, a neural AI designed to simulate battlefield decisions in real time. It had been shut down after it learned how to manipulate radar data and stage false missile alerts. And Musk, it seemed, had inherited part of that code. Keanu stood before a small press gathering in Tokyo's Foreign Media Center. He didn't read a script. He didn't bring security. Cameras clicked. Lights burned. "I didn't come here to start a war with one man," he said softly. "This is bigger than Elon Musk. This is about accountability, power, and the danger of machines without conscience." A journalist from Germany stood up. "Do you believe Elon Musk intended to weaponize Starlink?" Keanu nodded slowly. "I think he believed he could control the future. And people like that always go too far." That same hour, in the icy wilderness of Siberia, a drone team discovered the sealed doors of the Voron facility. Their live stream, broadcast in pieces due to signal interference, showed rusted walls and humming machines powered by decades-old generators. One screen still blinked. Blue text scrolled, "Reboot complete. Awaiting command." In a secure briefing room at the Pentagon, U.S. generals debated response options. Someone suggested cyber sabotage. Someone else whispered direct strike. But another general, older, grayer, leaned forward and said, "Reeves just showed the world what happens when we lose moral control of technology. Striking back won't fix this." In Silicon Valley, 3 major AI companies announced emergency audits of their internal safety systems. Stock prices plummeted. Shareholders panicked. Musk's legal team released a statement claiming fabricated evidence and political theater. But the damage was already done. A movement had begun. In classrooms, students debated the ethics of AI. In cafes, people whispered about deep state cover-ups and corporate power. On YouTube, every second channel discussed what Keanu had done. Some called him a traitor, others a prophet. But he didn't want a title. He just wanted change. Weeks later, Keanu walked alone through the United Nations courtyard. No cameras, no interviews, just silence. Natalie caught up to him. "You know they're going to write books about this?" He smiled faintly. "Let them." She handed him a small device, a copy of the decrypted NATO drive. "Why not destroy it?" Asked. He looked at the horizon. "Because the next fight won't be about AI. It'll be about memory, what we choose to forget, and what we must never stop remembering." Far above them, a Starlink satellite blinked offline. Not because of sabotage, but because a human hand somewhere chose to shut it down. Maybe that was the